Riverside High School was always noisy in the morning. Students talked, lockers banged, and footsteps echoed across the long hallways. But on this day something felt different. The air was heavy as if the school was waiting for something new, or someone new. That someone was Alina. She walked through the main gate slowly, holding her backpack tight against her chest. Her steps were soft, almost silent. Her long hair covered part of her face, hiding the nervous look in her eyes. She was the kind of girl who didn't like attention. She just wanted to find her class, sit quietly, and finish her first day without any trouble. But she didn't know that in Riverside High, trouble found people easily. As Alina walked in, some students stopped to look at her. She was clearly new, and in high school, being new was like having a spotlight on you, even if you didn't want it. "Who is she?" someone whispered. "She looks scared," another student said with a laugh. Alina heard them, but she didn't lift her head. She simply kept walking, hoping the comments would stop. Her heart beat fast and her hands felt cold. She just wanted to survive the first day. Inside the building, she looked around, trying to read the classroom numbers. The hallways looked like a maze. Every door looked the same, and students were moving like a fast river, pushing past her. She took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. That's when she saw the group everyone in school feared: Mira, Josh, and Tanya. Mira, the leader, had long black hair, sharp eyes, and a smile that didn't look friendly at all. She walked like she owned the school. Josh, tall and loud, loved making jokes at other people's expense. And Tanya, who always stood beside Mira, enjoyed spreading rumors like it was a game. They were the popular group, but also the group responsible for making many students cry in the bathroom. Everyone pretended to like them, but deep down, everyone feared them. And now their eyes were on Alina. "New girl," Mira said softly, but with a tone that felt dangerous. "Interesting." Josh smirked. "She looks easy to break." Tanya giggled. "This will be fun." Alina didn't hear them, but she felt something strange, like someone was watching her. She kept walking, trying to look for her classroom. She didn't want trouble. She didn't want attention. She just wanted to blend in. But destiny had other plans. When she entered her first class, she quietly chose the corner seat near the window. She placed her books neatly and tried to look invisible. Some students stared at her, but she avoided their eyes. The teacher, Mrs. Turner, smiled warmly when she saw her. "You must be the new student." "Welcome, dear," Mrs. Turner said. Alina nodded politely. "Thank you." Mrs. Turner introduced her to the class, but Alina wished she didn't. Being introduced felt like standing on a stage with all the lights pointing at her. She could hear whispers again. "She's weird. She looks lonely. She probably won't last here." A soft pain touched her heart, but she stayed silent. She had heard these things in her old school too. She knew how people could be. She knew how quickly kindness could turn into cruelty. But she also knew something else, something she didn't want to remember. Something inside her. The class went on, and Alina tried her best to focus. She wrote notes carefully and listened to the teacher's explanations. She loved learning. It was the only place where she felt safe and in control. During break time, she stood up quietly and walked out into the hallway. Students rushed around her, laughing, talking, teasing each other. She kept her head down. Then she accidentally bumped into a girl carrying books. "Oh, I'm sorry," Alina said quickly. The girl smiled. She looked friendly. "It's okay. Are you new here?" "Yes," Alina replied softly. "My name is Sarah," the girl said. "If you need help, I can show you around." Alina felt something warm for the first time that morning. Kindness. "Thank you," she said. But the moment didn't last long. Mira, Josh, and Tanya appeared again, walking confidently through the hallway. Students instantly moved aside to make space for them, almost like they were royalty. Myra's eyes caught Alina talking to Sarah, and a thin, sharp smile formed on her lips. "Looks like the new girl made a friend," Mira said loudly. Sarah's face turned nervous. Everyone knew what it meant when Mira noticed you. Josh leaned toward Mira and whispered loudly enough for others to hear, "Should we give her a welcome gift?" Tanya giggled. "Let's do something fun." Alina felt a chill crawl down her spine. She didn't know what they meant, but she knew their intention wasn't good. Sarah touched Alina's arm and whispered, "Stay careful. They don't like new students." Alina nodded, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was coming. She tried to continue her day normally, but the looks, whispers, and cruel smiles followed her everywhere. It felt like the whole school was waiting for something to happen, something that involved her. By the end of the day, she was tired but relieved. Just one more class, she told herself. Just a little longer. But she didn't know that before the day ended, Everything would change. And the entire school would soon learn why mocking the new girl was the worst mistake they ever made. The last period of the day was about to start, and the hallways of Riverside High were louder than ever. Students rushed from one class to another, laughing, pushing, and talking about their plans after school. But Alina walked quietly, holding her books close to her chest, hoping the day would end peacefully. She didn't know that Mira, Josh, and Tanya were watching her from the other side of the hallway. Perfect timing, Mira whispered, her eyes cold and sharp. She's alone, Josh added with a grin. Tanya smirked. Let's make this the moment she remembers us. The three bullies moved through the crowd without anyone daring to stop them. Students stepped aside, pretending not to see anything. Everyone knew something bad was about to happen. They could sense it. Alina didn't see them coming. She was focused on finding room 204, her last class of the day. She looked nervous but determined. Almost over, she told herself softly. Just a little more. Sarah, her one small friend from earlier, wasn't with her. She had gone to get a book from the library. Alina didn't want to bother her or make her feel responsible. That decision turned out to be a mistake. As Alina walked down the main hallway, Josh quietly stepped behind her. His footsteps were soft, hidden by the noise of the students around them. Mira and Tanya stood a few steps away, pretending to talk while secretly watching everything. Josh looked at Mira. Mira nodded. Josh moved closer. Alina took one more step. And then, Josh stuck his foot out. Alina didn't see it. Her shoe hit his foot. Her balance broke. Her books flew out of her hands. And she fell hard onto the cold floor. The sound echoed through the hallway. Thud. For one long second there was silence. Then the laughter began. Dozens of students stared at her lying on the ground, her hair covering her face, her books scattered everywhere like broken pieces of her day. Oh my God, did you see that? Someone laughed. She fell so bad, another joked. This new girl is a joke, a boy said. Mira smiled wickedly. Josh pretended to act innocent, and Tanya covered her mouth, giggling loudly. Alina felt her hands shake as she tried to push herself up. Her knees hurt and her palms were scratched. Her heart felt even more hurt. She had experienced this before, in her old school. She remembered the pain, the humiliation, the cruel faces. And now it was happening again. But something was different this time. When she lifted her head, her hair fell back from her face, and her eyes locked onto Josh. Her expression was not angry. It was calm. Too calm. There was no fear in her eyes. No tears. Only a strange, cold stillness. Josh's smile slowly faded. He didn't understand why his stomach suddenly tightened. Why did the hallway feel colder? Why did he feel watched? Mira noticed the change too. What's wrong with you? She whispered sharply to Josh. I don't know, he said quietly. She's looking at me weird. Alina stood up slowly, not breaking eye contact. She dusted her hands, lifted a book, and stared at the bullies one by one. Her face didn't show pain or sadness. Just silence. Heavy silence. Students stopped laughing. Something about the way she stood, the way she stared, made people step back without realizing it. Pick up your things properly, Mira snapped loudly, trying to take control again. Stop looking at us like that. Alina didn't reply. She simply bent down, picked up another book, and then stood straight again. Josh suddenly felt sweat forming on his forehead. What? He had tripped many students before. He had made many students cry. But none of them ever made him feel this uneasy. Tanya whispered, "Why does she look like that?" Mira frowned. "Shut up. She's just acting." But deep inside, Mira felt something she never felt before when bullying someone. Fear. Alina held her books in her arms again and took one small step forward. Josh stepped back. He didn't even realize he did it. "Move," Alina said softly. Her voice wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. But it carried a weight, something cold and powerful, that made the crowd part instantly. Mira, Josh, and Tanya stood frozen as she walked past them, her eyes still cold, still unreadable. Students whispered around them. She didn't even cry. She looked scary. What's wrong with her eyes? Did you feel that? Like something cold passed through? Mira clenched her fists. This isn't over. She got lucky. Next time she won't walk away. But as she spoke, she felt something behind her. A strange chill brushed the back of her neck. She turned quickly, but no one was there. Josh touched his arm and shivered. The air feels weird. Tanya hugged herself. Can we go? I don't feel right. The popular group walked away quickly, pretending they were fine. But inside they were shaken. Meanwhile, Alina entered her classroom quietly. She sat in her seat as if nothing happened. Her face returned to its peaceful expression, but her eyes remained distant, deep, unknowable. Sarah rushed in a few minutes later, out of breath. "Alina, I heard you fell. Are you okay?" Alina looked at her and smiled faintly. "I'm okay." But Sarah noticed something in her eyes. Something she couldn't explain. Something she had never seen before. The rest of the class whispered about the fall. Some students kept looking at Alina like she was something mysterious, something powerful, something they could not describe. The day ended with everyone talking about one thing. Not how Alina fell, but how she got up. And why her calm, cold stare left everyone terrified. The day after the fall felt different for everyone at Riverside High. Students still talked about what happened in the hallway, but the story had already changed. They were no longer laughing about Alina falling. They were whispering about something else, something they couldn't explain. "Did you see her eyes? It felt like she was staring inside my mind. I got chills, I swear." Rumors spread faster than fire, and by morning, almost everyone was uneasy, especially the bullies. Josh's first warning. Josh tried to act normal, but inside he felt strange. He couldn't forget the moment Alina looked at him. It replayed in his head again and again like a broken video. He told himself he wasn't scared, but his hands shook whenever he thought about it. After first period, Josh opened his locker to get his math book. He reached inside, then froze. Right in the center of his locker was a small handwritten note. His heart dropped. He picked it up slowly. The note had only 2 words. "Stop now." Josh looked left and right, but no one was near. His friends hadn't placed the note. They were in class. It wasn't Sarah. It wasn't any teacher. And somehow he knew it wasn't just a message. It was a warning. He crushed the paper and threw it into the trash, but his hands wouldn't stop shaking. Tanya's experience. Tanya always acted brave around others, but inside she was more scared than she showed. She never liked being part of Myra's bullying plans, but she followed because she didn't want to lose her status. That day during lunch she went to her locker to fix her makeup. When she opened the locker door, her mirror fell out. She gasped and grabbed it before it hit the floor. But something else made her freeze. Her mirror, which she used every day, now had a long, thin crack across it. A single line. Right across her face's reflection. She swallowed hard. "What? I didn't break it." She looked behind her. No one was there. Then her locker door suddenly slammed shut by itself. Bang. Tanya jumped back, her heart pounding. She didn't wait to check anything else. She ran down the hallway shaking. Myra's growing fear. Mira was the toughest of the group. She never showed fear. She laughed at other people's pain. She controlled the school like a queen. But now, Alina's calm stare followed her everywhere. It haunted her. She didn't tell Josh or Tanya, but Mira barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Alina standing in the hallway, silent, still, powerful. "I'm not scared," Mira told herself the next morning. But she was. During class, she caught Alina looking at her from across the room, just a normal look, nothing strange. Yet it felt like a spotlight was shining on Mira alone. She felt exposed. "Wait." She quickly turned away, her face pale. "What is wrong with me?" she whispered. But she already knew. It started with bullying. Now something was pushing back. Sarah notices everything. Meanwhile, Sarah watched Alina closely. She saw how other students looked at Alina from far away but never came near her. She saw how the bullies acted nervous whenever Alina walked by. Sarah sat with Alina in class and whispered softly, "Are you feeling okay today?" Alina nodded. "Yes." But Sarah wasn't convinced. "You seem quiet," she said. Alina smiled faintly. "I'm always quiet." "That's not what I mean," Sarah replied. "Something feels different." Alina looked out of the window. Her calm face made it hard to understand what she was thinking. "People shouldn't hurt others," Alina said quietly. Her voice was soft, but Sarah felt a cold shiver. It sounded less like a statement, and more like a rule. The school atmosphere changes. For the rest of the day, small things kept happening. Classroom lights flickered whenever Alina walked in. A chair moved slightly when she sat down. Students whispered, "Did you feel that cold breeze?" even though the windows were closed. Teachers noticed her too. Mrs. Turner looked at Alina often, confused by her calm, emotionless expression. Something about her presence made the room quiet instantly. The hallway incident. After school, the 3 bullies tried to put on a brave face. Mira said, "We're being stupid. Nothing is happening. She's just a weird new girl." Josh forced a laugh. Yeah, maybe. Tanya nodded, but she looked terrified. We should just leave her alone. Mira glared at her. Are you scared of her? Tanya didn't answer. They were walking through the empty hallway when suddenly, clack, a locker door slammed shut behind them. They jumped. Then another locker door slammed. Bang. Then another. Bang. 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 Lockers started closing one by one, like a wave moving toward them. Josh's face turned white. Tanya held onto her bag so tightly her fingers turned red. Mira swallowed hard. What is going on? The hallway fell silent again. Then, far at the end of the corridor, they saw her, Alina, standing still, not moving, not speaking, just watching. The three bullies froze. Alina didn't walk toward them. She didn't say anything. She simply turned and walked away slowly, her footsteps echoing through the empty hall. But the message was clear. This was just the beginning. The strange events at Riverside High were only getting stronger. Students whispered more. Teachers became uneasy. And the bullies, Mira, Josh, and Tanya, were slowly losing their confidence. But the only person who didn't seem surprised at all was Alina. She moved through the school with the same calm steps. She didn't talk much. She kept to herself. Yet her presence filled every room she entered. It was a silent presence, soft but powerful, quiet but impossible to ignore. Only one person was brave enough to sit close to her. Sarah. Sarah didn't know what was happening around Alina. She only knew one thing: Alina was kind. And she wanted to help her understand why everyone was suddenly afraid. White medium star lunch break curiosity. During lunch, Sarah and Alina sat under the old oak tree behind the school. It was quiet there, away from the noise and gossip. Sarah opened her lunchbox and said softly, "You know, people are talking a lot about you." Alina looked up slowly. "I know." Sarah hesitated. "Are you okay with it?" "Yes." That answer confused her. Most new students cried when people bullied them. Most felt scared. But Alina was different. She didn't show fear. She didn't show anger. She didn't show anything. "Do you want to tell me what happened?" Sarah asked gently. "In your old school, I mean." Alina stayed silent for a few seconds. She looked at the grass, running her fingers through the soft leaves. Finally she said, "People were not kind to me there." Sarah nodded. "Like here?" Alina shook her head slowly. "No. It was worse." A small breeze passed through the tree leaves, making them rustle softly. The moment felt heavier now, as if the wind itself was listening. "What happened?" Sarah asked again carefully. She didn't want to push Alina, but she felt the truth was important. Alina lifted her eyes. Her voice was soft but carried weight. "I was bullied. Every day. By 3 students. They hurt me. They mocked me. They made me feel small." Sarah felt her heart sink. She knew how painful bullying could be. "But," Alina continued, "something happened to them." "What happened?" Sarah whispered. Alina looked away. "They changed." "Changed how?" Alina didn't answer immediately. She looked at the tree leaves moving slowly in the wind. "They stopped smiling," she said finally. "They stopped talking. They stayed away from everyone. They never hurt anyone again." Sarah blinked. "That sounds like they got scared?" Alina didn't confirm. But she didn't deny it either. Instead she said quietly, "People fear what they do not understand." Sarah felt a cold shiver pass through her spine, but she didn't move away. She wasn't scared of Alina, but she knew there was something deep, something hidden, something powerful inside her. White medium star principal's office rumors. Later that day, Sarah walked through the hallway and overheard 2 teachers talking outside the principal's office. "I got a call from her old school," one teacher whispered. "Is it true what happened there?" the other asked. "Yes. The incidents with those students. They said it was trauma. Or fear. No one knows." "And Alina?" "She never said a word. But after that day the bullying stopped completely." Sarah listened with wide eyes. She felt a mix of shock and sadness. What kind of things had Alina gone through? She wanted to know more. But something told her not to ask the teachers. If she wanted answers, they had to come from Alina herself. White medium star Mira tries to dig into the past. Meanwhile, Mira had her own curiosity, but hers came from fear, not care. She sat with her phone in the girls' bathroom, searching online for Alina's old school. She typed name after name, flipping through pages. "This girl is hiding something," Mira muttered. "I don't care what it takes. I'll find out." Tanya, standing near the mirror, whispered nervously, "Mira, maybe we should stop. She's not normal." Mira glared at her. We don't stop. We don't get scared. But even as she said it, her voice trembled. Josh came inside looking pale. I heard something, he said. My cousin lives near her old school. And? Mira pushed. He said. Josh swallowed hard. He said the last 3 kids who bullied her were never the same after. Tanya covered her mouth. Oh my God. Mira closed her phone. Her stomach twisted. People just make stories. I'm not scared. But the truth was clear in her eyes. She was scared. More than ever. White medium star Alina's past comes closer. In the evening, Sarah walked Alina to the school gate. The sky was orange and the air felt heavy after a long day. Alina, Sarah said softly, if something scary happened in your past, you can tell me. Alina looked at her gently. Some things are hard to explain. You can try, Sarah said. I want to be your friend. Alina stopped walking. She looked deeply into Sarah's eyes. You are kind, she said. No one else was kind to me before. Sarah smiled softly. You deserve kindness. Alina looked down at her hands, the same hands that trembled in her old school when she faced cruelty, and the same hands that now felt stronger. Thank you, she whispered. But as they reached the gate, Alina suddenly turned her head sharply, as if hearing something no one else could hear. Her eyes narrowed. Sarah asked, what happened? Alina looked at the empty school building. Nothing, she said. But her voice said otherwise. She was remembering her past. And sensing her future. Because she knew the bullies here were not done with her. And she knew what happened in her old school might happen again. The air inside Riverside High felt heavier the next day, almost like the school itself was holding its breath. Students walked quietly, avoiding eye contact with the bullies. Rumors about Alina spread like shadows, slipping through every hallway, every classroom. Some students felt sorry for her. Others felt scared of her. And a few were curious. But 3 people, Mira, Josh, and Tanya, felt something stronger than curiosity. Fear. Deep growing fear. White medium star the cafeteria tension. At lunchtime the cafeteria buzzed with low whispers. Even laughter sounded nervous. Students watched the door, waiting to see if Alina would appear. When she finally walked in holding her tray, the whole room fell silent for a moment. She didn't look angry. She didn't look sad. She was just her usual calm self. But something about her silence made everyone straighten up in their seats. Sarah waved at her. Come sit with me. Alina smiled softly and walked toward her. But Mira stood up. Not to greet her. To block her path. Tanya grabbed Myra's arm, whispering, Don't. Please. Let her go. Mira pulled her arm away. No. I'm not scared of her. Everyone thinks she's something special now. I'm ending this. Josh gulped. Maybe we shouldn't. Mira, stop, Tanya begged. But Myra's pride was bigger than her fear. She stepped right in front of Alina. Alina froze for a moment, her eyes lifting slowly to meet Myra's. Move, Alina said calmly. But Mira didn't move. Instead, she smirked, a forced smirk that didn't reach her eyes. Who do you think you are? Mira snapped. You walk around acting like some kind of queen? You think you're scary? The entire cafeteria watched with wide eyes. No one dared to interfere. Alina didn't speak. She didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She just stared. And that stare alone made Myra's heartbeat speed up. Stop looking at me like that. Mira yelled. Still Alina didn't move. White medium star the first sign. Josh stepped closer and tried to push Alina's tray out of her hands. But before he touched it, the cafeteria lights flickered. What? Twice. Then a cold wind blew through the room. But the windows were closed. Students looked around nervously. Josh pulled his hand back. What the? Did you feel that? Tanya took a step back, her voice shaking. I told you, we shouldn't do this. Mira rolled her eyes, trying to appear fearless, even though her hands trembled slightly. It's just power issues, Mira said loudly to show confidence. Grow up. But her voice cracked at the end. White medium star the second sign. Mira grabbed Alina's tray and shoved it. The tray fell. Food splattered across the floor. Students gasped. Sarah stood up from her table. Hey, stop that. But before anyone could say anything else, something strange happened. The tray did not hit the ground completely. One side of it stayed lifted, floating just for a second. Just long enough for everyone to see. The cafeteria fell silent. You could hear someone breathing. Someone whispering a prayer. Someone dropping a spoon. Mira stepped back, her face turning pale. No way. The tray then dropped flat onto the ground. Clang. Mira shook her head. It was just the angle, she shouted. No one saw anything weird. But everyone had seen it. Everyone knew. White medium star Alina speaks. Alina bent down, picked up the tray calmly and placed it on the table. Then she looked at Mira. Her voice was soft but powerful, like a quiet storm. You should stop hurting people. The words were simple. But they struck deep. Mira felt her throat tighten. Her legs shook. Her fingers turned cold. Sarah stepped closer, standing between them. Alina, it's okay. You don't have to be near them. But Alina didn't move. She looked straight into Myra's eyes. Stop, Alina said again, this time slower. Before something happens. Myra's heart pounded. Something like what? Alina's eyes didn't blink. Like last time. Mira froze. Last time? What do you mean, last time? But Alina didn't answer. A chair behind Mira moved an inch. On its own. Students screamed softly. Some stood up and backed away. Others grabbed their phones but then put them down, too scared to record. Mira spun around, terrified. That chair just moved. Josh grabbed Myra's arm. Let's get out of here. But before they could leave, every light in the cafeteria flickered again. And for one moment, everything went dark. Pitch dark. Someone screamed. Someone cried. Someone whispered, "She's not normal?" Then the lights snapped back on. Alina hadn't moved. She was still standing silently. Still calm. Still staring at Mira. Mira couldn't breathe. She stepped back. Then another step. Then she turned and ran out of the cafeteria, shaking. Josh and Tanya ran after her. The cafeteria buzzed with terrified whispers. Sarah touched Alina's arm softly. Alina, what's happening? Alina looked at her with gentle, sad eyes. People shouldn't hurt others, she said again. They always learn the same way. Sarah shivered. What way? Alina looked toward the cafeteria doors where Mira had run out. They learned through fear. Fear traveled through Riverside High faster than any gossip ever had. By the afternoon, almost every student knew what happened in the cafeteria, how the tray floated, how the lights flickered, how Mira ran like she had seen a ghost. Some students whispered that Alina had powers. Others said she was cursed. A few claimed she was dangerous. But no one really knew the truth. And that made the fear even stronger. White medium star, the hallway whispers. Alina walked down the hallway with her books held tightly against her chest. Students moved aside when she passed by. No one laughed at her now. No one tried to push her. No one dared. They whispered, but only when they were sure she couldn't hear. That's her. The girl who made the tray float. She looked right at Mira, like she was looking inside her. Lights went crazy around her. That can't be normal. What if she does something to us? Every whisper stabbed the air. Alina kept her eyes forward. She didn't look left. She didn't look right. She just walked, quiet and alone. Sarah followed her from behind, worried. When Alina finally stopped at her locker, Sarah stepped closer. Are you okay? Alina's hands trembled slightly as she opened the locker. I didn't want this, she whispered. I didn't want people to be scared. Sarah gave her a small smile. It's not your fault. Alina's eyes softened for a moment. But only for a moment. White medium star Myra's breakdown. In the girls' restroom, Mira stood in front of the mirror, breathing fast. Her face was pale, her eyes wide like she hadn't slept for days. Josh tried to calm her. Maybe we overreacted. Maybe it was just some trick. Mira shook her head quickly. No trick. I saw it. I felt the air change. Something is wrong with her. Tanya stood in the doorway, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. She told you to stop, Mira. Twice. Maybe she just wants you to leave her alone. Mira turned toward her sharply. Leave her alone? After she scared us like that? Tanya sighed. You scared her first. Those words echoed painfully. Mira leaned on the sink, her hands shaking. I'm not going near her again. Ever. Josh nodded. Same. But even as they said that, fear crept deeper into their chests. White medium star teachers begin to notice. By the end of the day, even the teachers sensed the tension. Mr. Calvin, the history teacher, watched the class nervously as Alina entered. Students sat straighter. Some avoided looking at her. Some stared at her like she was a mystery. Mr. Calvin cleared his throat. Everyone, we will continue yesterday's lesson. But no one cared about the lesson. They cared about the new girl. At one point, a book fell off a desk behind Alina. The entire class flinched. One boy gasped so loudly he almost fell off his chair. Mr. Calvin dropped his pen. But Alina simply turned her head and picked the book up, placing it back gently. Her calmness made everything more terrifying. White medium star Sarah tries to understand. After school, Sarah walked with Alina toward the front gate. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and red. Sarah hesitated before speaking. Alina, yesterday and today, things happened. Alina looked at the ground. I know. Can you tell me why? Alina didn't answer immediately. She pressed her lips together, thinking. My mother used to say I was different, she finally said. She said I feel things stronger than others. And when people hurt me, strange things happen around me. Sarah's eyes widened. So, it's not on purpose? Alina shook her head firmly. No, never. I don't want to hurt anyone. Sarah exhaled in relief. But, how did the tray float? Alina looked away, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know. Sometimes things move when my emotions get too strong. Sarah felt a chill slide down her back. Not because she was scared of Alina, but because she realized something important. Alina had been hurt so badly, so deeply, that her emotions were almost exploding out of her. White medium star fear turns into rumors. The next morning the school was even worse. Someone had posted on social media. Beware of the new girl. She can make things move. Another picture showed Mira running out of the cafeteria with the caption. She made the bully cry. Rumors spun like wild wind. She doesn't blink. She can read minds. She can control electricity. She cursed Mira. She's not human. None of them were true. But fear didn't care about the truth. White medium star the principal gets involved. Before first period, Alina was called to the principal's office. Sarah waited outside, pacing nervously. Inside, the principal sat with his hands folded. Alina, he said gently, there are reports that strange things happened yesterday. Floating objects, flickering lights, students frightened. Alina swallowed hard. I didn't mean for anything to happen. I understand, the principal said. But the school must be safe for everyone. Do you know what caused it? Alina hesitated. No, she said softly. I just get emotional. The principal nodded slowly. Please try to stay calm. And tell me if anyone is bullying you. Alina lowered her eyes. I will. But deep inside she knew the fear was already out of control. And once fear spreads, it rarely stops. White medium star the day ends with a warning. As she walked out of the office, students stared at her again. Not with anger. Not with curiosity. With fear. Sarah rushed to her side. What happened? Nothing, Alina whispered. They're just scared. Sarah took her hand. I'm not. Alina gave a weak smile, grateful. But as they walked down the hallway, a cold gust of wind blew through, even though all the windows were closed. Students gasped. Some ran. Some whispered. Some stared at Alina with horror. Sarah turned to her slowly. Alina, was that you? Alina shook her head quickly. No. I didn't do anything. But she wasn't sure. Because inside her chest, the fear of others was becoming something else. Something darker. Something she couldn't control. The next morning, the sky above Riverside High looked strange. Heavy clouds hung low, dark and unmoving. It felt like something was waiting to happen. Something important. Something dangerous. Students entered the school with nervous steps. Nobody laughed. Nobody joked. Nobody pushed anyone in the hallway. Fear had taken over everything. And at the center of that fear was Alina. White medium star Myra's nightmare. Inside the classroom, Mira sat with her arms wrapped tightly around herself. She hadn't slept properly all night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the tray lifting, the lights flickering, Alina staring at her. The more she remembered, the more frightened she became. Josh whispered, Mira, are you okay? No, Mira whispered. She's not normal. I think she's dangerous. Tanya sighed heavily. You don't know that. Mira looked at her angrily. You're defending her? Tanya didn't answer. She looked away, but deep inside she knew something Mira didn't. Alina didn't want to hurt anyone. She was only reacting to how others treated her. But convincing Mira of that felt impossible. White medium star a strange morning. When Alina walked into the classroom, the room fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. But something felt different today. Her steps were slower. Her face looked tired. Her eyes seemed darker, like she hadn't slept at all. Sarah noticed immediately. Alina, are you okay? Alina didn't answer at first. She put her bag down slowly, staring at her hands. I felt something last night, she whispered. Sarah frowned. What do you mean? Alina finally looked at her. Something inside me feels stronger. And I don't know why. Sarah's throat tightened with worry. Did something happen at home? Alina shook her head. No. But I keep hearing things. Feeling things. When people are scared of me, it feels like their fear gives me strength. Sarah froze. That's not normal. I know. Before Sarah could say anything else, the bell rang sharply. Alina winced, covering her ears for a moment. Even sounds were affecting her more than before. White medium star, the classroom incident. Halfway through the lesson, something terrifying happened. Mr. Calvin was writing on the board when Mira whispered loudly to Josh. She shouldn't even be here. She said it quietly. But Alina heard it. Her shoulders stiffened. Her heartbeat quickened. Her eyes darkened again. Suddenly, the classroom door slammed shut on its own. Every student jumped in their seats. Mr. Calvin dropped his marker. What was that? The lights flickered twice. A cold chill seeped through the room. Mira gasped, grabbing Josh's hand. She's doing it again. Alina stood from her seat, panicked. I'm not doing anything. I swear. But her breathing was fast. Her hands were shaking. Sarah stood up, trying to calm her. Alina, look at me. Take a deep breath. Before she could finish, every window in the classroom rattled violently. Students screamed. Someone ducked under a desk. Someone cried. Mr. Calvin quickly stepped forward. Everyone stay calm. It could just be wind. But deep down, even he didn't believe that. There was no wind today. Not even a breeze. White medium star. Alina breaks down. Alina backed into a corner, her eyes wide and filled with fear. I don't want this, she cried. I'm not trying to scare anyone. Sarah rushed to her side. Alina, it's okay. Breathe. I'm right here. But the more the students panicked, the worse things became. Their fear washed over Alina like a wave, and her emotions reacted without her control. One desk shook. Another slid an inch. A textbook fell to the floor. Then everything went still. Silence. A heavy, painful silence. Alina stared at her trembling hands. I can't stop it, she whispered. I think something is wrong with me. Sarah squeezed her arm gently. No, you're just hurt. You're overwhelmed. But Alina shook her head. It's more than that. My mom tried to tell me before she died. She said I'm not like other people. Sarah's breath caught in her chest. Not like other people, how? Alina swallowed hard. She said I inherited something from her. Something powerful. Something she never wanted me to use. The class listened in silent horror. Someone whispered, she's cursed. Another whispered, she's dangerous. Mira stood up, pointing at Alina with shaking hands. Stay away from me. Stay away from all of us. Alina stepped back, tears filling her eyes. I'm not trying to hurt you. But Myra's fear only grew. Don't lie. Every time you get upset, things move. Lights flicker. Doors slam. You're a freak. Those words broke something inside Alina. Her tears rolled down her cheeks. Sarah glared at Mira. Stop. She didn't choose this. But Mira kept shouting, trembling with fear. I don't want her here. What if she hurts someone? What if she hurts us? The room fell into absolute silence. And then, the truth came out. Alina looked up, her voice trembling but clear. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want powers. I just wanted a normal life. I just wanted people to be kind to me. She looked around the room, her eyes shining with pain. But every time someone hurts me, something inside me reacts. I can't control it. Not yet. No one spoke. No one moved. For the first time, the students didn't just fear Alina. They understood her. At least a little. And understanding is more dangerous than fear. Because now, they knew she wasn't just a rumor. She wasn't just a strange girl. She was real. And her power was growing.